Welcome to Together We Thrive, practice session for addressing the SEL development of K-12 educators. I'm Leslie Young from Chapman University, and my co-presenters are Wendy Barron from the New Teacher Center and Margaret Golden from the Millennial Forum. I'd like to start off with myself talking a little bit about my experience. As you know, I'm one of the last contestants still standing on Survivor Public School Teacher Edition. All kidding aside, I'm a 35-year veteran, now retired, of teaching elementary school students in Orange County, California. This cartoon resonates strongly with me when I think of my years of service to the children in my classrooms. However, when I think back on those times, I'm saddened by the fact that training and support in the SEL development of educators was never addressed, even though I knew intuitively that my colleagues and I would have strongly benefited. In January 2019, the National Commission on Social, Emotional, and Academic Development confirmed that teachers' own social and emotional competencies influence the quality of the learning experiences they offer their students. The pro-social model by researchers Jennings and Greenberg demonstrated these findings in detail.
Hi, I'm Wendy Barron, and a 2018 study of over 5,000 educators by Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence and New Teacher Center revealed that supportive, caring relationships among staff with and among students supports health and well-being of educators, even in the face of high levels of everyday stress. So, as teacher educators, we have two questions. What are the most impactful practices that can develop social emotional competencies of pre-service candidates, their well-being, foster their well-being and resistance, and then how can we integrate those practices within the context of teacher education? We're going to have a mock fieldwork seminar, and we've incorporated 3 SEL signature practices. We just wanted to note that we're going to truncate this process, and only one person from our group will be responding, and usually it would be everyone. And Margaret is going to be the facilitator, and Leslie and I are going to be the candidates. So these 3 signature SEL practices are to develop SEL competencies of the candidates, support emotional competency development, promote connection, reflection, and engagement, and serve as a design principle for candidates for their lessons. Our fieldwork seminar today will have a welcoming ritual. We'll begin with a mindful awareness practice, then an emotion check-in. We're going to move to an internal reflection with some journaling. One of us is going to explore an issue, and others will be asking honest, open questions to support reflection, and we'll close with a gratitude practice.
So let's begin with our mindful awareness practice to ground ourselves in our bodies and come to rest in the present moment. Wendy, I believe it's your turn to lead us in a practice today and then explain to us the benefits of this practice.
Great. So we're going to engage in a 4-2-6 breath cycle, which will be a longer exhalation than inhalation. I'm going to be doing the counting. We'll breathe in through our nostrils, out through our nostrils. And what this is going to do is help us move right into our relaxation response. So let's have our feet on the ground. Gently close your eyes or gaze down. Exhale. Inhaling through your nostrils. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Before we begin our check-in today, let's review our mindful communication guidelines so that we create a space where we all feel we can bring our whole selves. We'll remember mindfully, make room for all voices, be authentic, and be curious. We'd like to read one aloud today that you'd like us to focus on during our time.
I'd like to, Margaret.
Thanks, Leslie.
For me, it's really to be authentic.
Thank you, Leslie. So we'll practice remembering what's both in our heart and in our mind, and sharing our doubts and fears as well as those joys and successes we've had this week. So let's turn our attention to checking in, and we'll use a poem today to do that. Our check-in allows us to think about what we're feeling as well as what's going on in our outer experiences. This can be done whole group, small group, or with a partner chat, and we'll do it today as whole group since there's so few of us. And we'll use this poem that speaks to the importance of welcoming all the feelings associated with the surprises and challenges we face, and see them as opportunities for learning and growth. Wendy's agreed to read the poem aloud today, and we'll listen for words or phrases that resonate. Wendy?
The guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Rumi.
Thank you, Wendy. What words or phrases resonate with you today?
I think the phrase invite them in resonates with me.
Thank you, Leslie. Remember that checking in with emotions helps us to support these same practices in our classrooms. And when we model these things, students understand that their feelings are valid and accepted as well. Let's take a little deeper dive into those thoughts and feelings with an internal reflection. We'll look at what's happening in field experiences rather than make it a gripe session. We'll think about what's happening within us rather than to us, and identify those feelings that have been in us this week as we've navigated our schools and classrooms. So normally we would give time for everyone to journal, but since we have a shortened time today, we'll just go into our exploration where we begin to offer open, honest questions to somebody who has shared from their journaling. I'd like to review these open, honest questions before we move on to our exploration so we understand their purpose. As educators, we're quite practiced at giving advice and correcting each other. But when we learn to ask questions that are honest and open, instead, we create a space for deeper reflection, even, and the unfolding of connections that have yet to be considered. When we take the time to explore our thoughts and feelings, we uncover new ideas, underlying issues, and creative solutions to the myriad of dilemmas we face in our classrooms. So we'll begin our exploration today with Leslie, who's agreed to be our explorer today. And then we'll take a minute after Leslie shares what arose for her in her journaling to offer her some open, honest questions. Leslie, would you like to share anything you noticed during your internal reflection?
Yes. When I mentioned that the phrase that stuck with me was let them in, I was thinking about what has been arriving in my own guest house, for me, my Zoom house. My 8th grade students are arriving in my Zoom house, but they don't seem ready to learn. I can't see what they're doing. But I think that they're scrolling on their phones, texting, anything other than participating in the class. I feel like the guest house is collapsing, and frankly, I don't know what to do.
Leslie, what are you most afraid of in this situation?
Basically, what really I'm afraid of is the fact that what can I do to assure that my students are learning? I don't feel that that's happening.
After a round of open, honest questions such as those, we would move to affirming our explore and understanding that it takes some time to really be given the opportunity to think about the situation deeply. We'll end our session with an optimistic closure, and gratitude is a great way to do that. Let's take some time to think about and state an appreciation for ourselves or another person or something else about the seminar today. And I'll start. I just want to really appreciate Leslie, who shared from her heart about what was happening in her classroom today. Sometimes that's so difficult to do in front of other people.
So expressing and receiving gratitude just really reinforces and further supports our sense of connection and well-being.
What I went through as a veteran educator could have been addressed through the practices that we've just modeled. But my experiences, albeit challenging, were nothing like what teachers are living through today in what's been described as a veritable tinderbox of stressful conditions. We all have witnessed how the global pandemic has forced widespread school closures, requiring immediate mastery of new technology. But these layers are there atop widespread fears surrounding the health of self, family, and friends, as well as economic survival. To buffer the stress and both create and sustain the necessary conditions for emotional and physical healing, education systems and individual schools must prioritize teacher wellness as the first step in student recovery. In other words, have to amplify the educator's capacity to place their own oxygen masks on first. Only in this way will they be able to direct their energy towards developing the kinds of high quality, safe, and trusting relationships with students. The three of us would like to thank you today for joining our presentation. Please feel free to reach out to us through the following email addresses. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.